On the list of things that make a good knife, the steel that it's made out of is way less important than you might think. Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the KnifeCenter. Welcome to episode 253 of KniFAQ, the series where I answer all your questions, sharp or dull. What we do is we take your questions from the comment section below this video, these videos, and attempt to answer them in a entertaining, educational, and informative sort of way. I do that while Thomas behind the camera makes snarky comments.
Oblong.
And welcome to the show. So if you've got a question and you want it to have a shot at being featured in a future episode, drop it down below, please and thank you. First question today, Chavy07. Hey DCA and Thomas. I'm looking for a sub 3-inch blade EDC. I'd like to be able to get a 4-finger grip on it, so a longer handle or sacrificing cutting edge for a guarded, preferred or unguarded finger choil is fine. Fidget-friendly, finger-safe, and thumb studs would be welcome additions, something between the higher-end Spyderco Sage 6 and the lower-end Cold Steel Tough Light. Any suggestions for less than $100? Yes, this is what I was getting at the teaser at the beginning of the episode here. On the one hand, blade steel is important. After all, you don't want to spend your whole life sharpening the blade. But far more important than what steel it's made out of are a number of other factors. Primarily, the two biggest factors I would say are how you interact with the knife and how the knife interacts with what you're cutting. And the biggest things there are handle comfort or handle shape and the actual geometry of the edge. And then the heat treatment of whatever steel is using is more important than whatever steel is using as well. So the actual steel composition, further down on the list. And this is a perfect example. You know, there's a lot of 3-inch or under knives out there with smaller handles, but if you don't want that, it's not gonna be very good for you, is it? But anyway, I do have some suggestions for you, Chavy. The budget was tricky because I would have recommended something like the Sage 6, for example, especially because you said fidget friendly as a possible option, but that's of course way above. The closest thing I could kind of get to some of your requirements here is the CGRB variant right here. Yes, it is called, it's called the version. My apologies. There are several variants of the version. Two variants, two versions of the version right now. You got a 2.6-inch blade, RPM 9 steel, which is good steel. I know I said steel didn't matter too much, but hey. $48, so very affordable. You've got fidget friendliness thanks to the button lock, the front flipper, and the blade cut out there. And you have an unguarded, sadly not a guarded finger choil, but you have an unguarded finger choil. So you can get a full grip, but this doesn't hit all of your nice to haves as well, like the thumb studs. Actually, that's the only one it didn't hit, and the unguarded part. But it's got that finger safe closing action you like there, the fidget friendliness as well. So this is what I'm not going to recommend. Actually, the ones, I've got 3 here for you to consider. None of them need or are using a finger choil in the design to achieve a full grip. First up, the Squid XM, a Lucas Burnley design from Columbia River, from CRKT. This is the button lock version, and it has, for my slightly larger than average hands, enough handle length there for a full grip. Certainly if you're kind of choked back a little bit, it becomes a little more of a 3.5 finger grip depending on your hand size, but there's just enough length and plenty of height here to give you exactly that kind of grip. I actually kind of did the same thing with my my Maximal design, which I didn't put on the table, interestingly. Maybe I should have. Anyway, you've got thumb studs here, you've got the button lock, so you've got fidget friendliness, finger safe closing action, the thumb studs, like you said, you liked as well. Steel in this case is D2, 2.95 inches, hollow ground, so it's nice and thin behind the edge, and it stays thin for a little bit of the way. And $66 for this, so quite affordable. Deep carry pocket clip as well. Hope it's right side carry is okay for you in this case. Another option from Kaiser, the clutch lock versions crossbar lock, of their Assassin. This one right here comes in at $69. You've got a 3-inch Nitro V blade, another versatile drop point like the Squid, a little more pointy in this case. And like the Squid, if you use the finger groove here as the guide, it may not feel quite as full as you think, but because there's no flipper tab or anything, or pronounced finger guard at the front to get in the way, this is another design that all 4 of my fingers fit on here quite comfortably, so you can get that full push cut when you need to. The drop bear is another good example of this. There are sub $100 versions of that knife that kind of fulfill the same criteria in this case. And then last but not least, another D2 bladed knife, the Terminus XR from SOG could be a good option at $60 here. It is maybe slightly smaller in the handle than the others, and you do have a flipper tab getting in the way, but I've always found this to be pretty substantial in the grip. Even though it's kind of a 3.5 finger grip, you still can choke up. You're just going to have to really bridge that flipper tab with your index finger. It's still achievable though, if you need to push. That actually doesn't feel bad at all, quite honestly. And in terms of fidget friendliness, this has more than either of those two even, because you've got the crossbar lock there, so you can do the wrist flick stuff. You got a flipper tab, so you can do that stuff. You still have the thumb studs, so you can do the thumb studdy stuff as well. So plenty of options. True deep carry pocket clip, mounts from the back and loops over. This is the OD green G10. There's also a red G10, I think at the same price still. And there's some higher end versions that you could check out as well. The way you interact with your knife day to day, you're gonna notice that feel in the hand way more than you're gonna notice some super steel's magical properties. Those magical properties are nice, super steels are nice, but ultimately it's, for me, I'm going to be more happy with something that I love the way it fits in my hand, and the way it uses, far more important, in my opinion. Share your opinions down below. This is the internet. I'm sure you have them. Please share them. Next question comes from Elias Zaradnik. Yeah, Elias Zaradnik. Hey, DC and Thomas, I hope you are well. All right.
Medium.
You good? Medium well. I am a Freeride mountain biker, and I carry a folder, but the pivot often gets full of dust from the trail. What pocket fixed blades can you recommend I get that are small enough to fit in the zip-up pocket of my riding pants? It's a bit deeper than the length of a phone, but still has a full grip. It should preferably be stainless. My budget is $200. Oh, I have one option here that isn't stainless, I'm sorry. But that's okay. So when you say Freeride mountain biker, I suppose I could have looked this up. Are you sort of going like off primary trails a little bit? That's kind of the way I took it. Maybe I should look this up like right here. What is Freeride mountain biking? Freeride mountain biking. Is a discipline focused on style, creativity, and technical skill rather than speed or timing. Oh, okay. It involves riding steep, natural terrain, massive jumps, drops, and stunts. Cool. You are far more physically fit than I have ever been in my life. So good on you, man. Okay, cool. I can deal with that. The way my brain went in terms of picking items kind of holds up here. If you're kind of doing, stunts off of, landscape features, landscape involves a certain amount of human touch, or is that all natural? I guess it's all natural.
The escape of land.
I escape, you escape, we all escape for landscape. So my thought is, if you're out there and something happens, the knife you have on you, you'd want it to sort of be like that survival knife. That's where my mind starts to go. So I went away from something like the SOCP Mini or Mini Sock P from Benchmade should definitely fit, but this is more of a tactical design. It's harder to use in a, bushcrafty, survival-y scenario. So I stayed away from something like that. So something that would make a good general purpose knife that could, pinch hit into survival scenarios if needed. And the length, you said, a bit taller or a bit deeper than the length of a phone. So I measured mine, which was, almost 6.5. So I'm going to say like 7 inches is kind of the max. If that's different, I don't have your pants. I can't measure them. The first knife I thought of is when I went and measured it, it's a little bit too long when it's in the sheath, and it's above your budget, but I do want to mention it. The Big Eye Design Signal, made in USA. The reason I like this is it has you mentioned as well in your requirements here, full grip. So again, we could go mini, like the Muskrat. Actually, I have it over here from Kaiser. Should easily fit in said pocket, but that's, you know, a 3 to 3.5 finger grip at best, and it's thin. It's great for small EDC stuff, but it's not necessarily a full grip.
Yeah, put a lanyard wrap around it.
Yeah, one could, but yeah, you know. The Signal, absolutely, as you can see, has a very, very full grip. We've got Nitro V steel, 3.375 inches, very versatile drop point. It's like $250. Comes with a Kydex sheath with a pocket clip. But the overall length, when it's in the sheath, I mean, we're looking at, you know, we're here about just under 8.5 inches. It's like 8 3/8 of an inch. So that's probably going to be too big. So the next thought I went to is kind of an old standby for this sort of thing. It isn't a stainless, but the Azula 2 from Essie. Designed in response to people who thought the Azula didn't have quite enough handle. So now you have the Azula 2. Sadly, the 2 up to this point is not available in any stainless options, unfortunately. The 1 is, but it's a shorter handle. Again, just enough length there for a full grip. I've used an Azula 2 heavily over the years. And, you know, especially, you know, it was probably over a decade ago when I like really worked one hard, back when I was writing for a blog and doing some testing on one. But the handle on here is great, man. Fills the hand up nicely with the micarta there. Oh man, we're actually over budget here too, $105. Daggone it. Oh wait, no, we're not under budget. We're not over budget. Your budget is $200, you said. Sorry. So this is well within budget. Doing great.
That was a close one.
1095 high carbon, good tough stuff. It's not stainless, but you do have a coating to help prevent rust in most places. You know, the edge itself and the markings on the blade, you will have to kind of watch out for that a little bit. Comes with a sheath, like so. It also comes with a little clip plate that has a pretty wide bent metal clip. You could use that as a pocket clip or a waistband clip or anything like that. But just like so, could slip into the pocket real easy. Length on this, we're looking at close to 7.5 here. So we might be a little long for that one. One more to check out, and it's from Benchmade, the Intersect right here. 2.7 inch MagnaCut blade, so very stainless. In fact, the Water series, which this is part of, is Benchmade's stab at taking on Spyderco's Salt series, which is designed to withstand all types of corrosion as good as humanly possible, essentially. $175 for this knife. The handle is a little bit shorter. If you have slightly larger than average hands or larger hands, then this might be a little too small, but again, I find myself being able to choke up just a little bit like so, and I can get a really full grip on the knife. And it has that lanyard at the back for a little more, pinky grippage if you need it. This could be a really good option here. Here is the sheath. It is injection molded. It comes with a pocket clip and a retention strap right there. Oh, come on. Hey, there we go. No wonder it didn't work. I hadn't stuck it in the sheath all the way. And I was initially, didn't know if this was going to make it because I know the sheath on this is kind of bulky for the size of the knife, but we're coming in at like 7 1/8 of an inch length right there. I hope that'll work for you. The specs are really good. Oh, unsnap the snap before you take it out of the sheath. Man, I'm doing all kinds of user error today. What a great shape for a small, pocket-sized survival fixed blade right here. Great little drop point. The steel is good. You've got plenty of traction for usages, and it's good all around in its shape as well. US made, $175, great steel, but steel doesn't matter. Good handle as well. Anyway, I hope that helps, man. Keep doing wicked tricks on your bike. Do people still say that?
Sick, bro.
Sick. Did they ever say that? I don't even know. I can't even say. Well, now we come to our measured once, cut twice segment where we're actually cutting thrice this time. Don't worry, Thomas, don't have to come up with a new graphic.
Just gonna double the graphic.
2 weeks ago, we were talking about an EDC combination of tools from someone's question where they wanted a multi-tool, a folder, a fixed blade, and a flashlight combo. And I condensed it to 3 for the first one. I threw some alternate suggestions in last week by including a utility knife as the folder option. And I said, yeah, maybe we'll cut thrice here. And we are, because Grazvard left a comment that just got my creative brain spinning. Creative might not be the right word in this case, but it got my brain going, and I had a lot of fun thinking about the implications. So I'm going to share it with you. Anyway, his comment. Really love my ARC by Leatherman. This is a Leatherman Free P4 that is Thomas's. Just pretend it's an ARC. Thank you. I love my ARC, so that one goes as well. And I have an Olight, but I'm not, it's fine, but I would want to try the ARC one, the ARC Feld, with the laser. I work as a teacher, so I think that would be very handy. This is an ARC Feld right here. Leatherman ARC, pretend. Olight ARC Feld. We could do a whole ARC themed Quatro of EDC tools. And this is actually going to be the easiest to carry combo of anything I've presented so far. Hear me out. So, Leatherman ARC, that's what this is, hint, hint, in a pouch on the belt. Nice and easy, tons of great tools. You've got the ARC Feld in another pocket, clipped into a front pocket. You've got the Spyderco ARC everyday carry fixed blade around the neck. Comes with a neck sheath, or set up for neck carry. You could adapt the sheath to other carries if you want. But yeah, gotta have a Spyderco ARC. And then the Demco Razor Shark for the folder / utility knife in this case, clipped to the other front pocket. That is actually really cool, super well-rounded EDC, even though you've got like 3 knife edges going on there, and an easy to carry combo, quite honestly. But because, as I said, my brain was going, I couldn't stop just there. Let's complete it. Sharpening, you got to do it with an Arkansas stone, I think. Yes. And you need a lighter as well in your EDC, right? Well, you can have the Zippo arc insert in your lighter. It has the electric arcs. This is actually USB rechargeable to do your lighting. Pen, couldn't really find a good pen that fit the arc theme. So we'll go with like a bolt action pen in like a flat dark earth colorway. And a bolt is like, it moves in an arc. Yeah. I had fun, so I just wanted to share with you. The funny thing is, I got paid to think about that stuff. It's a pretty good job here sometimes.
Last time that happens.
we'll lock that down for sure. Well, now we come to the lightning round for today. One question in the round from M-Dub. Setting aside civilized era knife law considerations, were clip points ever sharpened both sides? So the clip point section was double-edged? Well, yeah. And they still do it today. The Cold Steel Laredo buoy is an example. You definitely see double-edged things in general less than non-double-edged things, because that double-edged things have certain extra restrictions on them depending on where you live, and that can be a headache when you're a knife retailer and shipping things across state lines and that sort of thing. But you can still get them today as well, like with this really cool 3V buoy knife from Cold Steel. You can check it out if you wish. Well, now we come to our finalist question of the day, which is, of course, our most seriousest question of the day. And he was responding to our talk about sci-fi and fantasy metals last week, where we definitely settled on adamantium as the best metal to have your custom knife made out of today. Darth VB, hey DCA, here's a most serious question. Would Wolverine's adamantium claws be considered Wharncliffe or reverse Tanto blades? I think we know Thomas's answer. Yes, we do.
It depends on who illustrated it.
Fair. Some people illustrate it looks a lot like that the Ontario like linoleum knife thing, where it's like real abrupt at the end. But reality, like pretty much the way they're always drawn, is recurve. Something like this Lion Steel LE1 right here. Is this the LE1 or is this the other one? This is the only one mid. A collaboration with Emerson Knives, but yeah, you've got the recurve, and they're usually kind of clipped off at the tip here in possible reverse Tanto fashion. You can't really call Wolverine's claws any sort of like modified sheep's foot, like even a recurve sheep's foot, because sheep's foots are designed not to pierce, and Wolverine's claws can certainly pierce.
Recurve, reverse Tanto.
Recurve is, yeah, something like that. I'm not even going to fight him on it today. It's fine. Anyway, folks, thank you for your questions. Let me know if you've got some alternate suggestions for anyone here, and rank your importance of characteristics in a knife hierarchy. Where does the actual steel fall on the list? I posit that it lands at least on number 4 or number 5 most important on the list of things. I'll let you figure out what I think is more important. But anyway, drop those down below. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below so we can keep this series going. If you want to get your hands on any of these items you've seen here today, check out the links in the description or the QR codes where applicable. That'll take you to KnifeCenter.com. Do we have QR codes in this one?
No.
Okay. Then it's not applicable. While you're there, don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, a bevy of new payment options at checkout, including Sezzle if you want to break things into payments. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time. He's even wearing the shirt today.